the war he started with Iraq, with the Kuwait thing and all that, Desert Storm and all that, and then we got Bill Clinton, 8 years of the worst traitorous regime in all of American history, with him getting rid of the Glass-Steagall Act and all that Bill Clinton did, dragging America through the mud for 8 years, as far as I'm concerned. And to this day, I do not understand why people like him. But, I guess he did. Through crony capitalist policies, a lot of people got fabulously wealthy, thinking it's okay. Well, he's a liberal. So, I could be a crony capitalist as long as I'm a liberal. And what does it even mean? What does it mean to be a liberal? I only want the best of both philosophies, conservative and liberal. Thank you very much. That's it. I just want to be a good American. So, you can have all the nonsense. I don't want it, man. I don't want crony capitalism. I don't want your communist Robin Hood crap that doesn't work, because there's loopholes, and there people will do anything for money. Attorneys can be hired to evade your taxes. We all know this. So the people that can afford to pay the bills under communism never do. And whose back does it fall on? Your next door neighbor. So we're all at each other's throats. They get us devouring each other. And we're all buy into the social Darwinian economics as if it's all normal. They normalize the madness, this devouring each other. Okay, through these things. This is how they're doing it. So we got to understand and become empowered and become determined not to take it anymore. Who said, Thomas Jefferson, that the level of tyranny you live under, the oppression, is that what you tolerate? Well, that's it. We're all tolerating it by not speaking out to everybody we know, every way we can. And educate people and say, look, I'm not, you can have a psychobabble belief system, but it's not going to fly when you answer to your creator and you want some substance. It's like the story of the 10 virgins and those that, the wise ones that brought oil and those that didn't. You want oil for your lamps. You want some substance. Okay, so that's what the oil in the lamps is: substance of spirit, mind, and heart, and soul, and character, integrity, honor, all these good things. This is treasures in heaven. This is the character you're building for an eternity. So this is what you get to keep. And this is what we've got to get across to people. These are what the treasures are. This is truly valuable. Not the temporal things of this world that are going to die when you die. People believe that it's okay that parents leave children their inheritance and give them all this undeserved wealth, that they're entitled to it. Well, because, it's just the way it is, all right, right? Everybody would agree, right, that it's okay that parents leave their wealth to their children. So the Rothschilds, it's all normalized that this is the state of affairs. This is the status quo. This is just the way it is, the way it always will be. But it's so far-fetched when I talk about inheritance from birth, that it's actually God that gives that wealth, that inheritance is given. All wealth comes from above, every stitch of it, every bit of it. Every good idea that went out there and expanded into, we got all this great infrastructure. And, one guy said, that's crazy. You can never build a Golden Gate Bridge. Next thing you know, it's built. Not by just one person, but by a lot of people. But it starts with that invisible spark, that thinking, the imagination. That's how it all starts. That's God living in us. So it's God doing everything. That gives us our brains. That's given you the brains to amass a fortune, whatever the case may be for you. Okay, but it was God that gave you your talents. So everything rightfully belongs to God. So why is it far-fetched? Why am I the radical guy? Why am I the unsensible one, the illogical one, the non-pragmatic one, the impractical one, for suggesting that it should be okay, that it's understood we're all heirs to the wealth of this planet, rightfully so. And if we can't have it that way immediately like that, then let's gravitate toward that direction, to where that's just the new status quo. That's our new paradigm. That's our new reality. That's a new state of affairs. That's the new rule of the day, is that we're born prosperous from birth. And when we serve one another, we do it of our own free will and accord. That's the way it has to be. For us to be absolutely free, that's what we have to evolve into, that state of being. Okay, so at least understand that. Even if we don't get there, at least know what you're shooting for and try. Fight the good fight by trying to get there. And understand, let's take it as far as we can. If people do get too decadent and slovenly and lazy and they don't want to go to work anymore, whatever, then we can deal with it. We could build machines that will take their jobs. Like I said, if you don't want to scoop poop, nobody should have to. It'd probably be a lot easier to build a machine than train the dog to, poop in a bag. But maybe that's a possibility too. The right thing. You could say, hey, look at, I go and dig a hole, and then just for this box, and then the dog craps in the plastic bag in the box, and then you just take the bag out, and put it in your garbage. I mean, that's a possibility. You could train a dog to do that. Maybe that'd be easier. I don't know. The point is that we should be serving people because we damn well want to, and not because we're forced to, not because we're coerced to. And we think it's all been normalized. That this is our reality. This is just the way it is. So you should just accept it. Stop complaining. Stop fighting against it, man. It's the way it's always been. It's the way it always will be. But it's not. It has to change. So anyhow, after Clinton, really, he's pretty much single-handedly, okay, by allowing the Glass-Steagall Act to expire, caused the '08 crisis. And this is where they socialized the debt and privatized the profits. And these criminals did this on purpose. They knew damn well they were going to blow out the pipes of the economy by just inflating the hell out of the housing market. They knew that. Okay, what Bush did, useless, useless POS, and then, Obama, useless POS. I mean, look, all these people have just been exacerbating the problem. Nobody has done anything to reverse this. Obama doubling the national debt. Okay, what do you think this does to the economy in the long run? Kicking the can down the road, more of this wealth and income disparity. They're just stealing the wealth of the nation from under our noses. They want to keep it in perpetuity. They don't ever want the nation out of debt. They don't ever want the states or the individuals out of debt. This is their bread and butter. This is their survival. Okay, so understand the implications of what's going on here, man. So, Trump is very radical by going after the heart of the beast. I mean, if one thing threatens him, it's this idea of this war on poverty, this belief in equality. Okay, and you see how that fell on deaf ears, Republicans and Democrats. Nobody clapped that I remember in the speech. But to me, that was the most powerful point. That was an egalitarian statement. So why is egalitarian a pejorative, a profane term nowadays? It's a very American precept and principle. It's in our Constitution. And the only thing that overrides the Constitution is the very hand of God. That's it. That's who we've all sworn as Americans allegiance to, is first the Constitution, and first God above all, and then the Constitution. That's it. It's freedom, liberty, and justice, not for some, but for all. Is that the way it is? Or do we have ball? Are we paying bail? That if you have enough money, you can speed all you want. They could take your license, and you can still drive because you can afford the cost of bailing out when they throw you in jail for driving without a license, a revoked or suspended license. And you could commit this crime and that crime. You can afford attorneys to find you loopholes and evade your taxes. So yes, that's it. It's evil. It's Satan is in charge of the world, and the evilest people are still in charge. That's why we're still heading this direction, because it's got legs, it's got momentum. Trump can't turn this thing around on a dime, but Ben Carson is going to play a huge key role in this thing, because this is where you start by binding the hemorrhaging wound on the collective body of Americans, okay, that are dying out in the cold. This is it. And if you do that, you stop the hemorrhaging, and we start seeing actual progress, social economic progress. You're going to see crime decline. You're going to see the debt decline, and we're already seeing that. You're going to see your currency going up in worth. You're going to see dubious warfare in decline or coming to a halt. I mean, it already has, hasn't it? And we're going to see things like abortions drop off. We're going to see and all these major things, the welfare industrial complex, social welfare, less people employed in that industry as it's made less relevant, lower work weeks because all these people, they got to work. I mean, we got to do something. So you understand what I'm saying here is that understand that it's like a mind trick. This idea they get you to believe in numbers. The answer to everything is raising your numbers. Like King Solomon, the answer for everything is money. So more money is, more of the answer. But that's not it. It's getting the worth of the existing currency up. That's it. Less currency even, but just flowing, less insecurity so people don't mind spending because they know they're going to get it back later. You understand? You don't mind spending when you're certain. The more certain you are, you're going to get it right back. The more you're going to spend. So it's just that sense of security that will be the answer. Okay, and the worth going up. That's where we're going to pull out of this thing. But you understand, this is going after the heart of the beast. This is, ending poverty, ending oppression, rendering the beast system irrelevant. This is something that's never, this existential threat to its existence has never before existed. But it does now, and the knowledge is huge, and that means that opportunity for all of us to be incredibly empowered by this knowledge. Just understanding basic economic principles, knowing the difference between progress and regression, social economically speaking, and how this affects everything. It affects our contentment, our happiness, our ability to enjoy the stuff we have without feeling guilty, without, the sense of compunction overcoming us, where we feel empty and vapid and void before God. We feel ashamed. We feel extravagant when people are starving in the world and they're homeless even in America. How can we? Our conscience, our integrity, our honor won't let us enjoy our stuff. And God wants you to enjoy your stuff. I believe that with every fiber of my being, that we can have it all. We the people, if we allow everybody, understand this is a universal philosophy. It's fullness. Okay, realize that's what we got to understand here, to pull ourselves out of this thing, to extricate ourselves out of this mess. And I mean mess with a capital M, okay? It is this is what Trump's inheritance is. This steaming, mold-covered, maggot-ridden pile of excrement, okay? That is what he has inherited, social economically speaking. It's a mess. And all these people fighting him are the same ilk that wanted Barabbas released, okay, and they wanted Jesus strung up. It's that same bunch, man, whether they know it or not. They're tapped into that spirit. That spirit is alive and well, and it exists until the blessed return of Jesus, man. And hopefully it's already happening, and I'm just not seeing it, that this is for real, man, that God is using Trump, man, and this is all real, man. But even if something bad happens, even if there is we're set back a little bit, one way or another, sooner or later, the light of truth will descend fully upon the earth, and it's going to wash out. It's going to dissipate all the evil. It's going to be abolished. That's the way it's written. Like a farmer separates the grain from the weeds, a shepherd his sheep from the goats, the wicked from the righteous. That's basically it. Those that don't want to be in a world like he's got set up for us, like God has ready for us, it's already in our hearts and minds. If we tap into it, we could be there now. We could be ready for that world that's operating by conscience, by operating by the spirit of truth, by instinct, godly, divine, holy instincts that we have. If we just turn to him, let him be our guide, let him lead our way, and show us the light at the end of the tunnel and where we're going, and helping us to make progress one day at a time, one step at a time. Just welcoming that world of tomorrow that he wants for the good and decent people. And all those that don't want it, they can't be there. They won't be there. So know what you're fighting. You're fighting off in your own self, your own belief system. You've got to come out of Babylon, come out of confusion, come out of ignorance about these things, and admit that you can still be evil, that it's easy to be insecure, okay, and worry about money, and worry about not paying the bills, worry about becoming homeless yourself. That's a big concern. It should be, and God knows it is. So he forgives, and he's long-suffering about our greed and our insecurity, our desire to want to hoard money, and to love money, for the fact that it does make us feel secure. It's our way out of fear. It pays our bills. It pays the roof over our head, our food, our water, the things we not only need, the things we want too. So yes, of course it's logical to love money, right? Isn't that the message the world sends out? I get it. Believe me, I get it. I get enjoying the niceties, the luxuries, and all that. But, we've got to be working, fighting the good fight, and doing God's will, being about his business here. I'm going to talk really quickly because I'm mad at myself for being too long-winded last couple of weeks and today too. But anyhow, it's written to not throw our pearls before swine. This is what I mean about when you extend an olive branch to your enemy and they bite your hand, you pull up. You can't just sit there and let your hand be bitten off. To me, that's the throwing your pearls before swine thing. But you're just, you're being discerning. You're not judging in the sense of condemning another, because it's still held out. If they come to you, we're to forgive over and over. When somebody offends us and sins against us, like Jesus said, how many times should we forgive? not 7 times in a day, but 70 times 7, over and over and over. That's your forbearing, being long-suffering. Alex Jones and had somebody was talking about Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. All these is just more of this fraud. These agencies are set up to pool the mortgage fraud. Okay, these fake appraisals and all this stuff to keep it simple and condense stuff. And that's all. Just more fraud heaped upon fraud. That's it. They're about decentralization. Not decentralization. The opposite of that, centralizing everything. When it's best to have everything decentralized. If a lender makes a bad loan, that's between him and the borrower. Okay, that's their problem. But they've made it everybody's problem. This is the whole socializing the problem and privatizing the